The Expectation Effect by Dave Robson. Me getting a hold of The Expectation Effect, it's a pretty quick story. I just got a couple comments asking me to check this book out, and here we are. Now, what is this book about? Knowing nothing about it, I thought it might be about maybe not everything is the way you expect it. Could this ironically be what the book is about? If I were expecting it to be something different? I have no idea. Mindset has to have something to do with it though. But what's really going on with this? Let's talk about it. In this review, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the book. I'm going to lay out the different chapters, some things I liked, some things I found surprising or interesting. I'm also going to go over some standout quotes from the book, who I recommend this book to, as well as what books to maybe check out next. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. First impressions, writing down the chapter names. It seems like almost every chapter is like a different area of life that's more affected by our mindsets than most of us think. The introduction made me kind of feel like, well, this guy's on top of things. He offered an anecdote or two about life expectancy, then brought up that thoughts and expectations about long-term health may have real consequences for your longevity. And then he was like, you know, this is the enormous power of the expectation effect, but once we recognize its influence, we can begin to use it to ensure a happier, longer life. He also said that these claims may sound dangerously close, to new age self-help books like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which we weren't all too crazy about on this channel. I'll drop a link to my review below. The thing is, the findings in the expectation effect are backed by robust experiments published in peer-reviewed journals that can all be explained psychological and physiological mechanisms. So we learn in this book how our mindset can influence outcomes without the help of the paranormal or pseudoscience. Chapter 1 is the prediction machine, how your beliefs shape your reality. In this chapter, you learn about how important what we imagine is in predicting what we see. It reminds me of what people always say, that, you know, perception is reality, but it's not just seeing is believing, it's also hearing, touch, smell, and other things like past experiences, things that you wouldn't expect to even have to do with senses. It's different things that shape reality, and he does a fantastic job at laying studies that show this. Chapter 2 is a pious fraud, how beliefs can transform recovery from illness. He talks here about the placebo effect and how even if people know that they're taking a placebo, it can still affect the results. There are doctors who use all sorts of placebo treatments because they don't believe in the risk involved in government approved and widely regulated treatment is actually worth it. Isn't that insane, or is it rather sane? A book about the power of beliefs and mentality on our realities and the results that take place in them, I don't think you can effectively put together without a chapter specifically about placebo effect. He also compares the pros and cons of placebo with an active painkiller example, and he'll even include stuff like how the marketing of the actual drug affects this as well. For anyone wondering, a pious fraud is a fraud in religion or medicine. The best example that I could even find was this. Thomas Jefferson wrote to a friend and doctor in 1807, one of the most successful physicians I have ever known. He has assured me that he used more bread pills, drops of colored water, and powders of hickory ashes than of all other medicines put together. It was certainly a pious fraud. Chapter 3 is do no harm, how expectations can hurt as well as heal, and how to break a curse. The audio version has this like cute little ding sound that I liked in between chapters to let you know, the chapter's finished and the next one's continuing. But in this book, it's not like he doesn't use personal examples either, which I also really liked. The less extreme and more mundane nocebo effects can still have powerful effects on our mental health and well-being. The headaches I experienced while taking antidepressant pills were truly agonizing. That discomfort wasn't going to kill me, but he could have easily persuaded me to continue a treatment that would have ultimately proved to be very effective had I not discovered that symptom's psychomatic origins. A lot of people know about the placebo. Not that many people know about the nocebo. The nocebo is what sounds like a less well-known term. For those who are not familiar, it's when negative expectations of the patients regarding the treatment cause the treatment to have a negative effect it would otherwise not have. It's basically a negative placebo. Chapter 4, the origins of mass hysteria, how expectations spread within groups. I think Cece wants a little camera time. Come on, Seuss. This guy's focus on studies, quantities, and all sorts of different things suggests to me his raw passion for analytics and proving his points. I also wonder why there wasn't as much of a focus on, well, that pandemic we ran into a couple years ago. Chapter 5 is Faster, Stronger, Fitter, How to Take the Pain Out of Exercise. This guy put a lot more emphasis on both effects than I thought he would, and this isn't a problem to me, but if I didn't mention the amount of detail that he put into this book, that again is not the level of detail you would expect from any other of what you might consider its counterparts, Think and Grow Rich, Power of Positive Thinking, or Power of the Subconscious Mind, The Secret, etc. It truly separates itself in less of a category to me, at least, and more of a style. One glaring piece from this chapter was probably one of my favorites in the book, where the author discussed the success of Michael Phelps and how an extraordinary yet perhaps indelible reason for his seemingly inhuman results is his ability to visualize the perfect race. These astounding feats are usually explained by an adrenaline rush, but according to some scientists, they can be better explained by an explosion of energy emerging from the brain. While the prediction machine usually compares its resources with the demands of the situation and carefully calculates how much exertion it can afford without risking total depletion or injury, sheer emotional urgency can override the brain's typical course of control. It essentially decides that the task is so important that it's worth the risk of injury. This is the type of stuff that you might see in a book like Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Chapter 6, The Food Paradox, Why Indulgence is Essential for Healthy Eating. Okay, so the last one was about exercise and he seriously went in on it. This one is about food and nutrition. Something else in this chapter I found very compelling was something he said about French people and their portion sizes. In the last several months, my fiance has brought to my attention that American food portion sizes are just insane. Now, aside from the prices, if you go to a place like Applebee's, what we do when we order a delivery is we just get their kids meal because it's actually that big. The last time she ordered it, I asked her, does this really seem like the amount of food that a kid would eat? And honestly, it seems like the amount of food that a kid would eat in 2 meals. Why do restaurants do this? I mean, if you're in America, how often do you go out to eat, especially at like a large chain, and not finish the whole meal? I don't understand why these companies do it. I'm sure it would cost less to do less, and listening to all these audiobooks, I feel like this is something I should know by now, but I just don't, and it drives me insane. But I also guess it saves me money. Does it? I don't think it does. I don't know. Chapter 7 is De-Stressing Stress, How to Turn Negative Feelings to Your Advantage. Even when indulging in fast food, French people tend to choose smaller servings because they know that they can get more pleasure from fewer mouthfuls and spend more time eating it. Put this huge emphasis on the importance of enjoying food that they eat and how they do it according to the author, which I found very compelling. Chapter 8, Limitless Willpower, How to Build Endless Reserves of Self-Control and Mental Focus. This one was about like certain small things and small decisions and how they affect our overall potential and the reservoir of energy we have waiting to be released. Chapter 9 is Untapped Genius, How to Boost Your Own and Others' Intelligence, Creativity, and Memory. Here we go over the beliefs of others around us and how they affect our intellectual abilities. If you find that some people bring out the best or worst in you, this chapter explains why that is. And lastly, Chapter 10, The Super Agers, Why You Really Are as Young or Old as You Feel. It's crazy. Tomorrow I'm turning 26. I'm turning 26. Am I getting old? Do I feel like I'm getting old? In my brain, I feel like I'm 13. Something kind of cryptic that stood out to me in this chapter is where the author mentioned that your youth is done once you turn 20. And once you hit 40, pretending that you're not gonna die becomes a full-time job. Overall, I have never seen a book put so much emphasis on what the placebo and nocebo effects do, and it has been a while since I've seen an author so interested in the science and experiments behind how our expectations shape our reality, what does and doesn't happen when we take certain drugs, do certain exercises, and eat certain foods, how we age, how much energy we have, and it's kind of like the book that, on a micro level, aims to make nonfiction out of science fiction. This is a refreshing approach to things that I wish more authors today would make, and it would be exciting to see how it applies to other areas of self-development like personal finance and relationships, but in due time, right? Quotes. It seems the brain has its own inner pharmacy, allowing it to create certain chemicals such as opioids on demand. Worst case thinking doesn't prepare you, it promotes the worst case. The harder we try to be happy, the less happy we are. Direction 1. I would recommend this book to anyone who wants to know the science and studies behind the power of the human mind beyond mere explanation of, well, if you just believe in the results you're looking for, then you'll attract them like a magnet or something. If that's not enough and you're a skeptic, check this book out. Direction 2. If you like this book, definitely check out Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And something about this book, I think it's just how in-depth this guy's writing was, or maybe just, as much as I hate to say it, the British accent of the narrator, it just reminded me a lot of Rory Sutherland's Alchemy. But I also think it was how he approached the topics he tackled too. The Expectation Effect by Dave Robson. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I'll see you then.